Hello, welcome to the Autism Education Series and this video entitled Parent Perspectives. My name is Nicole Robinson and I'm the Clinical Manager for PPAS in the Central Zone. And I am very fortunate to be joined by Lisa Foley, Parent and Family Advisor for the IWK Services. And Lisa is going to be sharing a bit about her experience and her real life example of being a parent of two autistic children. So welcome, Lisa. Nice to see you.
Thank you, Nicole.
Excellent. So Lisa, maybe we'll just start at the beginning and telling us a little bit about yourself and your family and your experience with learning about autism for the first time.
Sure. So, my son is 18 and my daughter is 11, and they were diagnosed here in Nova Scotia with the autism team at the IWK. And we reside in Halifax. We've had all our services done in Metro, and we're still continuing to do services.
Fantastic. What was the experience like for you, Lisa, when you learned about autism for the first time and that going into the clinic at the IWK and hearing the diagnosis?
Yeah, that was really hard, Nicole. Um, I was emotionless. I can remember being emotionless and not knowing what to say. As soon as you hear that first word, autism, to be honest with you, your whole body just kind of shuts down. And it's almost like a surreal experience. Like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to get through it? Who's going to help me? It's all of these unknowns at the time when you hear that first word, autism. It's scary. So I didn't know what to say at the in the office that day. I had no words. The doctors handed me a large binder with contacts and printouts that I could read, and I took it home that day. And I just didn't know what to do. It just hit me all of a sudden in the car.
Mm.
And I told my husband to stop the car. I needed to get out. I needed to think. I needed to scream. I needed to cry. It just hit me all of a sudden, all of these emotions. And they were kind of different this time with the sadness and the anger. I was sad because I didn't know if my son or daughter was going to be able to grow up in an accessible world,
Yeah.
for one. Because I remember when I grew up in school, how a lot of children would be segregated because of their disability. And I didn't want that for my children. I was angry also because not everybody at the time of my son's diagnosis actually received treatment. So that was another big piece to the puzzle.
Mhm.
Um, it was just really hard. Like, it was probably the hardest diagnosis that I've actually heard to date for my children. And, you just kind of have to, just get through it. And the only thing I can actually liken it to is COVID.
Yeah.
Okay. COVID was really hard for everybody emotionally, physically, mentally. And the world of autism can very much be like COVID. The only difference that my family had during the COVID days was actually wearing a mask. Every other one of the hardships that people endured during COVID is our autism every day.
That is a really powerful analogy comparing the experience to COVID, something that everyone can relate to, that fear, that isolation, not knowing where to turn, the unknown, that information was always changing and we were looking to our neighbors and our community for answers. Wow, that
Mhm.
really drives it home, Lisa, to share in that experience.
It is really hard. And that's the only analogy I can actually,
Mhm.
give to people that actually, to liken it to autism because it is can be a lonely world.
Mhm. Well, if people aren't familiar with your face from your advocacy work from before, they will, because the one of the main goals of this video really is to really connect with people and know that they're not alone, and to motivate people to turn your emotions, your sadness, your fear, confusion into advocacy and strength and hope. And how did you do that, Lisa? What were some of the tools and actions that you took after you kind of processed those emotions and you really streamlined into some powerful action. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, I did take my anger and frustrations into being an advocate, like you
Yeah.
just said, for my children. I can remember journaling every day to try
Yes.
to put down my emotions for both my children, actually. The strategies that I learned through the EIBI team and the autism team at the time are strategies that I still use today and I'm forever grateful for. But I took those strategies and I started making YouTube videos. I started doing daycare talks, school talks. I was determined that I was going to make the world of autism different for my children. There would be no barriers, there would be accessibility for them. And I took all of my emotions and I channeled it into something positive. And to be honest with you, Nicole, it really does make a difference.
And you can really see that. I'm fortunate to know both of your kids. So it's, actions are really speaking true to their success. Well
It
done.
is, and I dreamt about where I was gonna be, like, 5 years ago, I dreamt of this moment.
Wow.
I really did, and 5 years ago, it was a really rough time, and now I can say, "You know what? We got through it." I got through it because I channeled all that positive energy, and they're in a really great place right now.
That's excellent, Lisa. So, thinking about those times you mentioned some of the strategies that you were able to do on your own and within your family, were there anything else that was helpful that you want families to know about, whether it was specific services or other things that you were able to access?
Sure. So, I tried to surround myself with people who understood autism.
Yeah.
I made sure that the circle that we were in, Um, I didn't have to tell my story a million times over because it can be very frustrating for the parents. I tried to surround ourselves with people that didn't judge us. Um, I made sure my family had the proper mental health supports in place, Nicole, which is very, very important. And to be honest with your inner circle of people. Um, and if you don't know where to turn to, this is a really big thing. If you don't know where to turn and you really need help and you're unable to get through to anybody, the provincial mental health and addictions crisis line is a really good place to call, and the number is 1-888-429-8167, and we'll also put up the website address, and those are to access wellness services.
Excellent. That's perfect. So, thinking back to those earlier days and your experience, and thinking ahead to these enhanced preschool autism services, what can you share about your time working on the development of these services and what are you most excited for?
Well, I can tell you I'm excited that these services are growing, and
Yeah.
I can actually physically see them growing. And autism services are in a really great place right now for the future. Um, Services will be based on individual and family needs now. Clinical intake and care coordination will help guide the way through all of these services. Intensive services will be available for those children who need it the most and the most practice with communication and behavioral needs. Also, there's going to be interprofessional interventions that will help a variety of skills with children with autism. And we're going to be prioritizing those goals of the family and the child first. And foundational education will be available to parents and caregivers through the new autism website. Services will also include support to school transition, which is a lovely, lovely service. These services are going to make a huge difference in the lives of children being diagnosed with autism here in Nova Scotia, Nicole.
Definitely things to be excited for.
Mm.
Well-rounded
Those are
service.
services that I didn't really have. Most of those services I didn't have when my children were growing up. So this is a really exciting time for these new services.
And it's so fantastic to have you with the team, Lisa, as the parent and family advisor. So knowing that parents can connect directly with you, we will share your email. You're so generous to be that contact, and we know it's so important to have that direct link to someone with lived experience and strategies to channel that difficult emotion into the positive action that you've demonstrated. Um,
Absolutely.
what type of advice would you share with families?
Well, first off, I would stop comparing my child or my children to other children. This is advice I would give any parent. Embrace every moment. I know it's extremely hard. I've lived it. The more you do, the actual easier it becomes. Celebrate the little successes in life's goals. They will eventually lead to even bigger goals. And also, with the proper scientific supports and perseverance, you can achieve your goals as well. Surround yourself with a positive support system, whether it's family, friends, a caregiver, or even a neighbor. And remember to take time for yourself throughout this journey. Your health and well being is the key to your child's success.
That is beautifully said. Thank you so much, Lisa.
Thank you, Nicole.
Let's do this again soon.
Okay, sure, not a problem.
Thanks, Lisa.
Okay, you're welcome, Nicole.